This is the Well Brewed podcast, where we share our 40 plus years of commercial brewing experience to help fellow beer lovers on their journey of building a brewery. Full disclosure, we own a brewery equipment business, but we aren't here to sell you anything. This is truly about helping the industry we love. So g'day, welcome to episode 5, the Well Brewed podcast. My name's Lockie, and along with my mates Clemmy and Jake, we're drinking fresh local beer and chatting about building breweries. So in today's episode, diving into the world of consultants. But first, what are we drinking today, lads?
One of Dave's blackberry sours.
They've done a great job on the can art.
So I think for the listeners, worth noting, so Jake, we normally record 2 in a row when we do this. I think we're only going to do 1 today, but Jake's made a note that our second episode's always better because we've had a beer. So we got ordered to have a drink over lunch today. I only had some 8.7% Super Hornet in the fridge, so I actually had a double G&T. I guess I'm probably wishing I had the Super Hornet now. 2 shots is probably too many. But anyway, what do you guys take your marching orders from Jake?
Yeah, well, I definitely did.
What did you have, Jake?
I had a Cooper's Purple XPA that was sitting in my fridge from leftovers from camping on the weekend.
Very nice. Very nice.
A little bit tempered.
Tempered.
It's been to Central Queensland and back.
What about you, Clemmy?
Couldn't stomach a beer after a protein shake, so I went directly to sour.
Well, there you go. Must be your age. Well, too much gym trips, mate.
Getting old.
Right, okay. So on to more pressing issues. Consultants. So I guess it can be a bit of a minefield when you're planning your brewery. Everyone's an expert and wants to charge you for their time. It's hard to know what you can do or what you want to pay someone else to do. So today we're going to dive in and give our 2 cents on what we think is worth paying for and what's not, what you can do yourself, and what's worth engaging someone else.
So how are we going to do this? What are the rules? You said this was going to be a bit like a game.
This is a bit of a game. We thought it'd make it a little bit fun. I thought what we'd probably do, we'd go through all the different consultants you can use one by one, have a bit of a chat about them, talk about our experience, and then we'll give them a score out of 5 pints. So 1 pint being don't worry about it, do it yourself. 5 pints being engage one for sure.
Just to interject a little, weren't we consultants?
We were in a previous life.
So how would you rate us then?
Us personally?
Yeah.
Currently as consultants, 1 pint. We don't do any consulting anymore.
Well, we give it away now. We realise that people didn't.
Yeah, it's all free. This is
this is the consulting.
This is the consulting. Listen to the podcast, drink a beer, and build a brewery. That's the name of the game.
All right. So by the end of it, we should be at 4 or 5 pints scale.
I would say you would have been 4 or 5 pints in your early consulting days, Clemmy, but I think since I joined the business, we've probably gone downhill a smidge. But,
all right, let's get on with it.
So we're starting at the start. Town planners. What are they? What do they do? Why do we use them?
They help with all things zoning, giving advice, telling you what consultants you should engage with. Really trying to streamline your DA application process is the aim of their game, right?
Isn't that the outcome? That their outcome is that the development application is approved.
Yeah.
So my understanding of the town planner is that you're engaging them to get an outcome on your development application.
So they're dealing one-on-one with council on your behalf.
Yep.
They're writing and submitting your DA and nursing it through the process so that you end up in a position where you've got your DA sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. And given, I think, Jake, you're definitely right. Like if you're in a zone where you're pretty comfortable, you've got the right zoning to be able to put a brewery. So we're talking medium industrial, medium impact industry. So depends where you are on that zoning and where you are in the country as to whether you want to take on a town planner or not. I mean, if you're, I guess, best case scenario is you're smack bang pre-approved in medium impact industry zoning, pre-approved for any industry. So you'd be a pretty good shot to not need a town planner. If you're in a zone which is mixed residential, whatever, you've got some more interesting conditions around your development application, then my thoughts are that it's probably a good idea to employ or engage a town planner to get you through some of those processes. I mean, if good town planners know the system, know the people, can talk and predict what you're going to need in order for this to go ahead. So they can give you a massive jump on the time it takes to get your DA approved. And I mean, without having your DA approved, you don't get your building approval, you don't get anything done.
You can't start construction.
Yeah, you're sitting on you might have a site and you might be paying rent. Then the sooner you can get your DA approved, the sooner you can get started. So good value for money if you can get it done quicker time.
And DA would be one of the most arduous processes when starting up and painful. So it sounds like we're all kind of in agreement. They're pretty valuable. What are we going to score town planners then? How many pints?
I'd go for
4.5.
Yeah, I was thinking 5. I mean, I don't think I'd build a brewery with that one.
Yeah, I leave myself some room to move generally.
Let's say 4.5. You're the beer judge that never gives anything over 18, mate.
I think there are rare circumstances where you can where you can get away with it. But for the most part, you're either a brewery that's fighting in an industrial estate to open up a cafe, or you're in a cafe sort of space fighting to open up a medium impact industrial facility.
Right. Okay, so let's say 4 pints, 1 schooner.
Yeah. I would have thought I got overruled on that one, 5 pints.
No, let's go 4-1.
Good.
What? Let's break the rules. Hydraulic consultants.
Sure.
Let's rip into that.
I love them. I think they're
your
underrated.
people, mate.
Yeah, well, they're civil engineers.
Don't go there.
No, they're good, because especially if you find one that's going to provide you with a reasonable set of drawings of your site that have fully laid out all the isometrics of all your utilities, so you can give
What's an isometric, Jake?
So an isometric drawing is like a 3-dimensional schematical sort of drawing of pipe flows, or the way you're going to run your pneumatics, or the way you're going to run your compressed air lines. So you can get these nice 3-dimensional runs which have dimensions on them, which then you can provide to all of your trades that you need to engage, so that they can accurately quote on your job.
Yep. Okay. So can you do this or install or upgrade your hydraulics or plumbing or drainage without a hydraulic consultant? Is that possible?
You can, but you're going to need to know a reasonable amount of plumbing.
So you need to be a plumber, probably.
You basically need to be a plumber, so that you know that the plumbing certifier is going to sign off on it and it's all going to be A-okay.
Okay, so a hydraulic consultant is your conduit between what you want to achieve from a hydraulic, water, plumbing, drainage perspective, and whoever's signing off it at council for approval to do the works.
Yes, and it also ties into your trade waste, and they're just making sure that you're going to put in the right sized pipes to be able to handle your discharge flow rates. And
it's also up to code, right? So everything's legal and up to code.
Yeah.
I would suggest that, you need one of that, right? You can't, unless you are a licensed plumber who knows all the codes,
Yeah.
then
Who's willing to gamble their plumbing license?
Well, that's the other thing is hydraulic. Most plumbers just will lean on the plans by a hydraulic consultant anyway, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the one that's, for me, it's the one consultant that you definitely need to engage.
Okay.
5 pints.
5 pints.
5 pints.
There you go. Hydraulic consultants. Well done. You're winning. Winning so far.
On that note, hydraulic consultants are not a one size fits all. You're not going to get the same service from one as you do from the others. So I would suggest shopping around and talking to them about what you're actually trying to achieve and what you want as an outcome from engaging them.
And if they've worked with breweries before, is advantageous?
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
That's a good point, Jake, because I think we've probably seen the opposite ends of the spectrum here with hydraulic consultants. Ones that essentially just look at maximum flow rates and don't have a great understanding of how you're going to operate a brewery in the space. They will tend to overspec everything to the nth degree because they're working at absolute max flow rates, absolute peak everything. And so, with that lack of understanding, they want to be sure that they're providing something that can handle it. But in reality, you need something in the middle so that your brewer can manage it to some extent because he's going to manage flow rates down the drain. But you don't want to be not meeting the code either.
Yeah. You're not going to walk away from a fermenter with just leaving the drain open. So
depends how pissed you are.
Yeah.
At the owner.
Yeah. So
have we answered that one?
There we have.
I think so. Yep.
Hydraulic consultants, 5 pints.
Need them.
5 pints.
Righto. Okay, next, licensing consultants, licensing experts. So thinking in the realm of someone to assist you on writing your application and getting your liquor license through and approved in whatever form you may desire.
I think it's useful. I think it depends on how complicated your business model is.
A lot of people do go it alone, though, in this space. Do you think? It's probably 50-50?
I think if you were going to just open up on an artisanal license and you're fairly confident that you're going to get it through, then whatever. Doesn't matter.
Well, and also if you're competent at writing and doing the applications and know how to deal with government, etc., right? Like it's a little bit of a skill set.
It's a little bit involved, yeah.
If you're just doing a tap house on your brewery and all you want to do is sell your own beers and a few other local craft beers, the artisan license is specifically designed for that application. So if you're just doing that, then maybe you don't need to hire anyone. If your venue is in a location, you want to be able to serve every alcoholic beverage under the sun and you want a hotel license, then that's going to be a lot more difficult to navigate. And generally, we'll see a lot more difficulty with the development application in those circumstances as well. But if you're taking on something like that, that's a serious task. I would be considering using a licensing consultant to get a hotel license.
I think it's probably also worth noting that it's all state-based. So the artisanal license is Queensland because that's a Queensland government initiative. There's a similar thing in New South Wales, I think. I don't remember the name of it.
There is in New South Wales.
It's all different. I know there's
wholesaler, producer.
Yeah, producer, wholesaler. But no, there's another one that's similar to the artisanal one. I can't remember. And again, liquor licensing different to your ATO license to produce as well. Like there's a distinction there.
Yes,
that's probably
absolutely.
something you can manage yourself, I would say. but your state-based licensing for your venue and your site.
Are we talking about manufacturing license in this same
Probably not. I think it's
section?
probably
No.
just good to make the distinction. I would say that we're talking more about liquor licensing, state-based liquor licensing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So what's the ruling on this one?
Maybe 3.
Oh, I was going to make a rule that we can't say 3 because it's like, it's the
2.5?
cheats.
2.5 pints.
2 pints and a pony.
What's it? What do you call it up here? Half a pint? A midi.
A midi, yeah.
Is it a midi or a pot? A pot.
I think it's a pot.
It's a
It's
pot
a
in
pot.
Queensland. 5 pots.
A skiff.
5 pots.
So, hang on. I would say if it's artisan license only,
Yeah.
it's 1 pint. If it's a hotel license, I'm at 4 points. Pints.
Okay. So artisan or equivalent, 1 pint. Hotel, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Very good. All right, moving on. Brewing consultants, probably a little bit close to the bone, guys, but we don't do this anymore, so we can speak somewhat objectively about it. So I guess starting off, like what could a brewing consultant offer you, and what sort of services for someone who's starting a brewery from scratch? What are the things they could offer?
I think there's quite a few brewing consultants out there now.
Seemingly
They-
more every day.
More every day. We're hearing more of every day. So depending on where these consultants have come from, like they offer a range of services, like from recipe development to quality systems and audits around micro hygiene, quality. So I'd say recipe development and quality systems, those types of things where your consultants come from maybe quite a technical background.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are in your journey with your brewery,
Yep.
then those people could be pretty useful. Like if you're looking to go for national distribution of a brand, and you want to ensure that you've got good process systems in place and quality systems in place and a HACCP and food safety system in place, then I would suggest a brewery consultant could be pretty handy. Recipe development, certainly. Like we've seen lots and lots of different recipes out in the marketplace. They're all put together very differently, but if you're shooting for the stars with gold medal winning beers, then it might be worth a brewing consultant having a bit of a once over of your recipes.
The other thing I think like value they could add is if you're coming from like a homebrew background and you're scaling up recipes, there could be some value there.
Yeah.
Or if designing process, if you've only ever brewed on corny kegs and grain fathers, etc., then it is a bit of a jump in a skill, in skill set from pushing beer around and filtering and processing and dry hopping and all those things. There could be some value in using someone in that space to help you design those processes and get them up to a reasonable industry standard.
Absolutely. I think also just understanding in a commercial brewing arrangement, like what are the key quality parameters that you're trying to achieve, and what are your gates and your quality gates and your sign-offs and all of that sort of stuff. Those processes would be very handy if you're scaling up.
But it depends on your skill set, right? So if you've run a brewery for someone else for 5 years, you've got a pretty good grasp, you've got some good training behind you, and you're going in to build a brewery and start something up, there's probably not as much of a need. Maybe there's some 1 or 2 gaps that you could lean on, someone for. But if you are starting completely from scratch, having never run a commercial brewery, before, there's probably a good need for it. So I would say, where are we going to land brewing consultants? Somewhere in the middle, right? I mean, it's kind of 50-50 if you, depending on your own skill set. I know it's a sucky answer.
Here's another one, actually. If you're an owner or you're looking and you're keen to start a brewery, but you don't actually have any brewing experience, you are just really enamored with the concept and think it's financially viable. Talking to someone who has got some commercial experience and understanding of the financial models to make sure that what you're doing, because there's significant investment happening when you're starting a brewery, so you want to make sure that you're getting good return on investment.
Yeah,
I think that is probably a good place to start. Finding a consultant that understands the commercial marketplace and the commercial and financial side of starting a brewery. That'd be pretty handy.
Yep. Okay. And those guys do exist. They're out there.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to say 3.5 pints brewery consultants. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, someone in that realm. It does come down to the level of experience you've got when you started up. If you've got a great brewer,
and I guess who's in your startup team? You might have people there that are willing to help and have some skills that you can lean on while doing your initial design phase.
Well, let's say I'm going to break my rule I just made. 3 pints.
3 pints.
3 pints.
Let's go. All right.
Rebel.
Thank you. Business coaches.
Is this for specifically starting a brewery or starting?
Yeah,
I guess it's just starting a business.
Yeah, you're starting a business that happens to be a craft brewery, a microbrewery, a brew pub specifically, probably. And do you need a business coach to help you along on your merry way? Discuss.
He's just trying to make us fight.
Well, it would be more entertaining.
I say nah.
No? Yeah, it's an interesting one. We've had a bit of experience.
I think that hospitality is fairly well studied, and you can get all the metrics and stuff that you need to run a successful hospitality-based business quite easily. You just got to not be a numpty.
As in there's enough good free information out there.
Yeah. And then in terms of actual ins and outs of business, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. You could be able to lean on, if you've just hired a brewery consultant, they might have enough knowledge in running a brewery of significant size to not warrant it.
Let's say you're just starting a brew pub and you have no aspirations of large wholesale distribution. Is it worthwhile paying a business coach, or do you just spend your nights and weekends online learning how to read a P&L and how to do budgeting and forecasting?
Yeah, I would say you don't need an MBA to run a brew pub.
I'm seeing a theme here. It all depends on the skills within the team.
Yeah.
So if you've got someone like a sales and marketing person who understands numbers and how it's all going to go together and work and can forecast what you think you can achieve, and therefore that forms the basis of your profit and loss, and you can then understand before you even do anything whether your business is viable, then that's fine.
Yep.
If you're going into it super green and it's a passion project and you've got no business skills, then you can do it. That's fine too. It's probably going to grow organically and you'll learn and
you might have some hard times.
Yeah,
it
you'll
might
have
not
some
be the
hard
most
times. You'll make some
efficient.
mistakes. I guess it comes down to how fast you want to get up and running, how much internal experience you have, and how much nous you have around just making a business profitable.
I'm
Understanding
hearing
the detail is pretty important when you're running a brewing business. So if you've had a brewer or a commercial person in the team who's done it before, then that's pretty helpful because there's a lot of things that go into running a brewery. And I think one of the things that is overlooked a lot is how much working capital you need because of you put all your raw materials into this thing and then the beer sits in the brewery in work in progress for depends. Can be
Yeah.
for
months.
4 weeks, can be months.
Yeah.
So you're holding all this cash without actually getting any return on investment. So you need to have a good understanding of the process.
I'm hearing a lot of sitting on the fence here, guys.
There is a lot of fencing.
There is.
I know. Just give me a ruling. How many pints? Do you need a business coach? I'm going to say probably not.
Nah.
For a brew pub,
two
I think
pints
2 pints.
or 1 pint.
1 pint.
1 to 2 pints.
Knock them down. 1 pint. I'm in agreement. All right. Well, let's finish up with marketing consultants. Interesting one. Hopefully not as much fence sitting here. We spoke last week, maybe it was a week before, about what was the episode called? Is making good beer enough? Something like that. We spoke a lot about your brand and your marketing. I'm fairly of the strong opinion that you need to have a strong brand, you need to have strong marketing. And I would also say that people starting up businesses themselves have a tendency to be emotional about the decisions when it comes to marketing and branding. And I think that's the absolute wrong approach. I think it should be customer focused, it should be objective, and it should be commercial and based around what your customers like and not what you like as a business owner. I know it sucks and I'm sorry that you have to hear that, but that's when the worst branding and marketing is done, is about what I like and what I feel rather than my customers like and what they feel. So I feel pretty strongly that it's money well spent. If you can get an objective opinion from a professional who can build you a strategy and a brand that is not just based on what you thought about with you and your mates, I think you're much better placed to have a successful business than if you do it yourself. And
I would agree.
And that is the TED Talk by Lachlan Crothers.
Lower back your TED Talk.
It's who's in your team. If you have no marketing, if you don't have a marketing bone in your team, then outsource it. I guess it's hard for people to recognize if they don't have marketing skills. I see a lot of people think that everything that they do is genius and they can't be faulted, including myself.
I've heard comments around marketing, and I'm not a marketing expert and I don't claim to be one, but I've heard comments around marketing. Oh, well, don't worry about marketing. It's just get someone to post on Facebook, like as if that's the extent of it. And I've heard comments about not having a creative bone in my body, but then also having strong opinions about every creative thing that's done for the business. I think it's really important to realize where your strengths and weaknesses are and be honest about it.
Yeah.
And try and get skills there. Because if you have great beer and average marketing, you will not succeed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We've talked about it before. Like, I've come from corporate background and have seen how much money gets invested into marketing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty clear that it's important. I'm not saying they get it right every time, but if the thinking is around how you're going to engage with your customers, and there's a lot more understanding of what is required around that, you've got much more chance of being successful. So in my mind, branding, marketing, super important.
Yeah, wrap up on marketing. We need to score that. Marketing consultants, I'm giving them a 4.4 pints and a schooner.
I think at least 4 pints and a schooner.
And once again, there's different levels of marketing consultants as well.
Absolutely. And
some that will just do your branding, some that will help you develop your whole strategy. So just go into it mindfully with what you're actually trying to achieve out of it.
That's right. 100%. Okay. Well, that's about that. I might just run through the scores, what we got. We had town planners at 4 points, 1 schooner, quite important. We had hydraulic consultants at 5 pints. That would be essential, I would say. Licensing consultants, we've got 5 pots, or we have 1 pint if just a easy artisan license, or 4 pints if you're a hotel license. Brewing consultants, we've got 3 pints, depending on your individual experience. Business coaches, we've got 1 pint. Don't bother unless you're a numpty, thanks to Jake. Or marketing consultants, 4 pints, 1 schooner, quite important. So I think that's enough. Anything else you guys want to add? Anything fun you're doing? Anything exciting? I'm going to the rugby tonight. Dolphins and the Rabbitohs. So,
I might go drive and get some molasses.
Get some molasses, making some rum.
I want to try and make some rum.
Are you and Clemmy playing golf again?
No, I'm having a quiet one tonight.
Off to bed, 7:30. 7:30
Can you come over
lights
and
out.
drink a bunch of rum with me?
I think I'm good.
Get inspired.
No,
I'll be drinking Bundy at the rugby, mate.
I'm a Central Queensland boy, so I've had my fair share of rum in my entire life. I think
You're rummed out.
rummed out, especially when it's that special rum that they make up there.
Well, cheers to Dave for the awesome beers.
Yes, well done, Dave.
We did pay for them. We don't get free beer. We support the industry. And that's it for episode 5 of the Well Brewed podcast. As always, if you have any ideas of subjects you'd like to hear about or any specific questions you want answered, please hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at Wellbrewed, WELLBREWD, or email us at podcast@wellbrewed.com.au. And that's it. Cheers.
Cheers.